Some people are dreamers, some people are 10% body fat. This video was inspired by a comment from a viewer of the channel who's commented a fair few times. Actually, brother, thank you for taking the time to write a good, lengthy comment. It's actually a really good one, and I'm going to read it out in full and give my context and answer behind it, which will also tie into why I titled the video the way I did. So we'll read it out now so you can all hopefully understand his situation. A lot of you may be in a very similar situation. It's a good situation to be in, especially, honestly, if you've followed a lot of the advice on the channel, you will end up at this situation definitely at some point in the dieting phase. So I think we can all take something from this, and I'll give my insight into how to skin the cat and answer the question. So, hey Tom, always asking for advice a little bit. We're here again. Only asking as I've always got shredded, but only to 13 to 15% body fat until now. I am currently 12 to 13% because I've taken on your formula of keeping food high and output high instead of being at 2k calories at week 1, which if you're a new member of the channel, welcome by the way. I am always in the camp that we want to keep food high and drive output higher because calorie deficit merchants do not breed good solid results. It's unsustainable. You will run out of steam and your body will stop responding to it quicker than you will get to the goal you set. You'll lose muscle fullness and the overall experience will be pretty miserable. So I say keep food high, keep carbs high specifically as well, and drive your output. So you can become the athlete version of you. You want it to look like an athlete but also perform like an athlete. So that's why we get you doing cardio. I got 2 to 4 weeks left of dieting. Nice, mate. And I've done 10 weeks so far. Great stuff. So he's typically on for a normal result of like a 12 to a 14-week result. My food volume was super high for the calories. This is very important. This is something I speak about a lot. Volume is fiber, essentially, will be quite high, using fruits, using vegetables, and using things like oats as well to pack out the meal plan. My food volume was super high with the calories, eating 100 grams of fruit and veg with every meal, perfect, at 2,200 calories, protein at 168, carbs 273, that's a good amount of carbohydrates, and 44 fats. So the amount of food isn't really the problem, but the problem is even with the volume being super high, the food literally goes nowhere. I've experienced this myself. This is where you're eating, you're in a deficit, but it literally just feels like it's running straight through you, and it's like come out the other end before you've even eaten it, and it's just like you just didn't feel satiated or satisfied off what you've eaten. When I got the most lean I ever have, which was for this photo shoot here, I really felt this. Like, it's almost like being waterboarded. Obviously, if you've ever watched a film where someone's getting waterboarded, they're like, come up just right at the last minute to get enough air so they don't drown. The feet, it's like the opposite. You've eaten just enough food, so you're not dying, but you definitely weren't satiated or satisfied. So it goes nowhere. I eat it and I'm hungry straight after it. All I can do is think about food. This has only been the last 2 days. Up to now, being hungry hasn't been the problem. So what I would say to that is very well managed. If you've got 10 weeks into a dieting phase, you've managed it with food volume high, kept food high driven output, and you're only just starting to feel this, brilliant. It means you've managed the diet very, very well. What he says next is critical. My energy is still relatively high. That's the metric that you want to look at. If your energy is still high, you can still perform in the gym, you are in a very, very good space. Very good space. I've also ran 1 high carb day since the start. Great job. What I say about this is you may get 8 to 9 weeks in, and you may want to trial a high carb day. Essentially get your scale weight, times it by 7. That'll give you a number. That's the amount of carbohydrates you want to eat. Drop your protein in half to make room for that. Run the full day of feeding. Take photos before and after to see how you look full, and train the next morning and see how you look with a pump as well. The high day will generally last you about 10 days to 2 weeks. Then you'll need to run another one before the benefits of the high day, which is filled up muscle glycogen stores, improved performance in the gym, and satiated hunger for a few days. That will then start to diminish after 10 days to 2 weeks. So he then asks, here's his question. Do I just need to grit it out the last 2 to 4 weeks, or is there any tricks I can play? Will a high carb day help, or am I just diet fatigue and need to grind it out? And the reason why I titled the video, some people are 10% body fat, some people are dreamers, is because you can do all of these things right, which he absolutely has done, but it's still hard. It's still tough to get that last little bit of body fat off. It absolutely is. I remember walking around to get this level shredded. Maybe I was 7 or 8% in the end photo. And it was hard. It was miserable. Like I was starving, standing up. I was PTing at the time. Standing up, delivering sessions was like effort. Loading plates was effort. Sessions were okay because I'd timed my nutrition around. I was eating as much fiber as I could do. But ultimately, this is supposed to be hard. So like in your mind, even if you are hungry and you can think of food, that's a good sign that your body's burning body fat. In fact, it's a great sign, and it's the sign that you're going to be able to reach that new level of peeled. So one thing I would say to this is, not everyone can hack this, and that's why not everyone's 10% body fat, 8% body fat, 9% body fat. Not everyone can hack this, and this is where you dig in, and this is where you want to look at other people and be like, they'll think of you and think, oh, you're starving, just have a bit of food, it's not even worth it. And it's like, no, it's not to you, but we're not the same individual. We're not built the same. I was made for this to be 10% body fat. I just need to go through this little bit of trial and tribulation, this test that I'm putting myself under, so I can get the fruits of my labor at the end. I need to drop a couple more kilograms to get to that 10% body fat. Now I need to pay the tax, essentially, that it costs to get there, which is ultimately the pain and the suffering that you have now. And a lot of people will get to 13% body fat. I've made videos on this in the past, why so many people stop at 13% body fat. Is because some people just aren't cut out for pushing to that leaner level. Now, every human body is capable of being 10% body fat, but a lot of people's brains and minds, when they get to 13%, will sabotage their own progress. They'll essentially stand on their own dick as to why they couldn't get there, because they didn't believe they deserved to get to that point. They didn't believe they had the mental bandwidth, because they've probably not done anything that was difficult enough to compare to this. In the past, I'd climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and the last stint of that was ruthlessly hard. I'd done the P Company test week to get into the British Parachute Regiment when I was 17. That also was really hard. So the fact I've done these two things in the past meant this will be hard, but that was also hard, and we could do that, so we'll be okay doing this. For a lot of people, this may be the hardest thing they've done for themselves ever, in which case they are walking in the dark, and the path only illuminates as you walk it. So when you're going through this process, this is your free opportunity for personal development. And literally, it's a beautiful thing that it costs absolutely nothing. If anything, it's cheaper to do this personal development route of just not eating when you really want to, saying no to your body when it really wants food, which is quite cool because it's it's a natural necessity. You must eat, and I get that, but it's the fact that you're not giving in to cravings, and you'll be walking down the street at this point. Everything will be appealing. You may not have had a McDonald's, hopefully not, for 5 years. You'll want a McDonald's because you'll be at that state of craving. And this is why not everyone's cut out for it. But if you're going through this stage right now, my advice to you in this is just enjoy this process. This is your opportunity to grow as a human being. This is your opportunity to see what you're truly made of. Do not let yourself down. In 4 weeks' time, when you finish this, you'll either think, oh, fucking hell, I can't believe I bitched out. I can't believe I bitched out on this dieting phase. I was so close, and my emotions just got the better of me, and I bitched out. Or you get there and be like, I knew we were going to get there. It was tough, but now I know when the next tough thing comes around, I will be able to get there as well. So you can do everything right. You can set everything up the best way. You're still going to face challenges to get to 10% body fat. And that's with doing everything right. That's with starting with food high, pushing output. That's having your fiber on point. That's still training well. But the main thing I want him to take away from this is his energy is still relatively high. So that's not food is so low you can't perform in the gym. That's your brain just basically trying to fight against you, trying to get towards the goal. Turn your brain off, stick to what you're doing, and you'll see the results. And you will be part of those 10% body fat. So thanks for watching. Thank you for the comments that came in. Keep them flowing in, boys. If you have comments, questions, just drop them in. I always make videos on your comments because we film a video every day, and honestly, it really just helps with titles and content as well. So, thank you as much for asking it, and I enjoy answering it just as much. So, if you found this useful, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.